Now, what about this for an idea? Take a game which lasts 5 days, one in which hours can pass without very much happening at all, and can end with no result. Put it on the radio where you can't actually see a ball being bowled or a shot being played. When some bright spark came up with that very idea, the idea for Test Match Special 60 years ago, BBC executives weren't impressed. They didn't realise then that it would come to be loved because it was about so much more than cricket. It was also about banter and laughter and cake.
Broad runs in, bowls, and that's Edson caught. It's all over. One of the most dramatic mornings Test cricket you'll ever see.
Ollie, what do you think of that last stroke?
Very good shot. I enjoyed. I mean, Alan Lamb takes the... You're just trying to do me because I've got a mouthful of cake.
Yeah, you have. You're spitting all into the microphone too. Really, Ollie. In the middle of an over, you can't resist the cream puffs. Most of them at the end out. Most extraordinary way.
He knew, this is the tragic thing about it, he knew exactly what was going to happen. He tried to step over the stumps and just flipped a bail with his right
He molested and tried to do the splits over it, and unfortunately the inner part of his thigh must have just removed the bail.
He just didn't quite get his leg over.
Anyhow, he did very well indeed, batting 131 minutes and hit 3 fours. He was joined by De Freitas, who was in for 40 minutes, a useful little partnership there. They put on 35 in 40 minutes, and then he was caught by Dujan Walsh. Lawrence, always entertaining, batting for 35 minutes, hit a 4 over the wicketkeepers. Hangers, for goodness sake, stop it.
Yes, Lawrence played extremely well.
He hit a 4 over the wicketkeeper's head, and he was out for the night. And Tufnell came batting for 12 minutes, and then was caught by Haynes on Patson for 2, and there were 54 extras, and England were all out for 419. I've stopped laughing now.
He may have stopped laughing, but we haven't. It doesn't matter how many times you hear that clip, it is still delicious. Well, to mark the 60th anniversary of TMS, the team are in action today. Literally, they're going to be playing in a cricket match to celebrate the anniversary at a venue in Leeds. Agger's Jonathan Agnew, the BBC's cricket correspondent, of course, joins us from Leeds. I think, Jonathan, you're there already, and Mike Gatting joins us on the line, the former England captain, of course. Morning to you both.
Well, obviously doing some loosening up exercises, getting myself ready for this and doing a few laps of the ground.
Well, of course, naturally, we'd expect that fitness regime to be carried on. Now, talking of regimes, it sounds so effortless, Test Match Special. Now, sometimes things just go wrong. They happen, like that famous moment. But do you prepare for those gaps? Do you come in with a few lines of, I must chat about this and that today if nothing much is happening?
Well, I think you do to an extent, and then on the other hand you don't. And that sounds a bit of a silly answer, but you know, I hate the thought of being too scripted on that programme, because it isn't scripted. I mean, you have your scripts to read because you are doing that sort of news-based programme, but Test Match Special is a conversation and it's company, and therefore you don't want to sit down with sheaths of notes, things you're going to say, research that you've mounted up, because actually that would spoil the programme. And there's someone else, usually with a beard, excuse me, who's sitting alongside me to take care of that sort of thing.
They fill the knowledge, to add to the banter.
Well, the stats, and cricket is quite a stat-driven game, but Bill Frindle and now Andrew Sampson are extraordinary stats-minded people who do it far better, frankly, than I could possibly do. So my job is to be company and to describe what's happening in the cricket, of course, and people got to sit and listen to us for 7 hours at a time, 5 days on the trot.
That's the word Mike Gatting, isn't it? To be company, because it often feels like Aggers and the others who are presenting that show, they're friends.
It is, and that's what it's about. I mean, it's quite interesting. Certainly on the early tours, I know my wife always said to me, "Cool, it's great having Test Match Special on because we actually know what's going on, and it's the sort of the connection with the players." And I know, actually, when I got hit on the nose in the West Indies, my wife said the only person that really gave them any information about what was going on was Test Match Special. She didn't hear anybody from the TCCB.
But did you listen to them for company as well?
Yeah, she did. I think we all did. I mean, I remember sort of sitting up listening to the Ashes, listening actually to Eddie Hemmings get 99 in a test match, thinking, crikey, there's me sitting down here, a batsman, and Eddie Hemmings, a bowler, is getting 99 in an Ashes test match, something you always dreamed about. And it was, it's just those sort of things. And it's funny, it's humorous, it's one of those lovely things that flow. And it is like sitting in a pub or in your home, just listening with friends and somebody explaining to you what's going on. It's fantastic.
But like in a pub, Jonathan, there are arguments about sport, aren't there? It's not all chummy. You have had some rows over the years.
Well, you can have disagreements, and I think that's very healthy. Be it about things like technology. I mean, politics. When I go back to, the late 1960s, Basil D'Oliveira, Brian Johnston, John Arlott both had very different views on what the England cricket team and how politics should be played out with that.
What, in other words, whether the South Africans should be allowed to play?
Absolutely, and whether English should have anything to do with them. John Arlott, very strongly anti-apartheid. Brian Johnston thought that it's actually better to engage people. He was that sort of person, really. They didn't have huge rows about it. They just came from very different backgrounds, had very different ideas. Kerry Packer, in the late 70s, again, completely split. Again, Brian Johnson, again, people like Richie Benno and Jim Swanton, who, of course, was defiantly against Kerry Packer and all that he stood for. So these things come and go. I mean, I don't think there's anything quite as intense as that at the moment to split people. But in talking about sport, 4 or 5 day test matches or day-night test matches we're having at the moment, it's healthy to have a debate, and it'd be awful for the programme. I think everyone just agreed with each other.
No, you wouldn't want that, Mike Gatting, would you at all? That people want to know it is, in the end, it's about the cricket. It's not just the fun.
It is about the cricket, and as I say, the guys are great, and with the sort of expert commentators as well. Aggers sort of keeps the show flowing, and all the main commentators, but with the little bits and pieces from people like Vic Marks and Mike Selvies and all the others that have passed through the years, those sort of little bits of, information to go with all the stuff that the guys do is just fantastic, and it makes it interesting listening to. And, you can sit down there and, many people sort of switch the TV off and just listen to the boys on Test Match
Quite
Special.
right, and it's free. Now, Jonathan, we talked about it being like a family. I mean, you took a big decision this year, which is your wife's having chemotherapy at the moment, and you shared that with the Test Match Special family.
Yes,
has that been a source of comfort?
Massive.
She's Mrs. Aggers on Twitter, by the way. It's not me just labelling her.
She is, and she's been, bowled over a ridiculous pun, but she has the wave of support that she had. I don't think we had much choice, really, because of the nature of the programme. If I'm not there one day, people tend to either to message in saying, where is he, the lazy so-and-so is having another day off, or where's Aggers? And so I just thought, I talked to Emma long and hard about it, and she just felt it was absolutely the right thing to go out there and to put it out, because I am missing days. I mean, for her treatments and so on. I mean, her next one is just after the next Test match. She's having chemo at the moment. It just seemed the right thing to do, and she's got a very good prognosis. We are going to pull through this. We're very positive people, but I think a programme like Test Match Special and the people who listen to it are those sort of people that you can share that with, because a family's a bit twee, but it's a community that has been made stronger, I think, by social media. And most of the time, you still have to duck and dive sometimes. But essentially, we've had a massive wave of support from people out there listening who are willing her on, and that's made a huge difference.
Well, I think she's made a huge difference to people also going through the same thing.
Well, that's also the hope, yes.
So, Jonathan Agnew, thank you so much. Best wishes to Mrs. Aggers on Twitter, Emma, of course, as well, and Mike Gatting. Thanks for joining us.